Welcome to Brotherly Love FC, your Philadelphia soccer show. We are counting down the start to the FIFA World Cup. We're starting the countdown to the Philadelphia Union season. Things are starting to heat up in the soccer world. I'm Chris O'Connell. Thanks again for joining us on the show. We appreciate it. I guess let's get to the big news. The Union celebrating America's 250th birthday in an extra special way. Check out their new 1776 kit, the club's new home kit, navy blue jerseys featuring, I guess there's like text from the Declaration of Independence. There's some cool illustrations of some of Philly's most historic landmarks. When I first saw these, like kind of laid out, I wasn't too, but as many said, once you see them on, I kind of like them. Joining me now, Tom Loudon, as always. Welcome. How are you?
Good. You know, they
what do
look
you think?
good. I think they look good. I think, you know, when you really look closely with the Declaration of Independence stuff, they're cool. You'd love if they gave you more than 2 weeks before the season to go out and get your jersey. I mean, they just dropped them like they're about ready to start. Here's our new jerseys. But, you know, that's the soccer thing. They have new kits every year, new opportunities to spend money, and their gear generally looks good. So it's you know, and this year's all about 250, so they're leaning into it. Like that look right there, it's a pretty cool look. Yeah,
I like it when it's on. I like it when it's on at the player. Nice. And I'm sure they're going to have different mixed styles of that.
They always do. Then every year they bring out new kits. I mean, you can imagine if like the Eagles brought out a new jersey every year, which they do side ones now, but how people would go nuts.
They could.
I mean, you know.
All right, 119 days to the World Cup, 17 days to the Union home opener. We got a great guest for you today. He's the man behind the Union soccer blog on Substack, soccer reporter Joe Tansey here. How are you, Joe?
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Let's start with the Philadelphia Union. They've had a not a bad preseason. I guess it doesn't matter that wins and losses. It's really Bradley Carnell developing this team. How would you wrap up this preseason for the Union, both the Spain and the Clearwater legs?
So I think results-based, just throw the results away.
Right.
They don't really matter because the coaching staff always says the preseason's about getting guys into the system. And if you look at the roster this year, it's pretty different compared to names we've seen of previous years. Kai Wagner's gone. Jacob Glesnes is gone. Tyberibo, gone. Michael Ua, gone. Those are four huge pieces that this team has had for years. And now you're working on getting a new starting center back in, getting new forwards accustomed to the system. Yeah, there's pieces that were still there, but preseason for them is really about getting everybody up to snuff in the system.
Learning each other's names.
Basically, yeah. And last year, one of the things that stood out to me when they won the Supporters' Shield is how important the Spain trip was. It was the first time they had done it. There was this massive soccer complex in Marbella where a lot of teams go to train throughout the winter. And the bonding part, the off-the-field stuff, is what a lot of the vets pointed to as, hey, this is a new era, a new coaching staff, and it really brought the team together. So I think that's, as much as we want to focus on the field, the Spain part, I mean, they're pretty much not going anywhere outside of the fields, the hotel. That, you know, they have to like each other. They're spending so much time together. So I think the off-the-field component in Spain is really huge, especially for a team with a lot of new faces.
Someone brought back that kind of Lehigh with the Eagles feel.
Yeah.
You're kind of trapped in the dorms together. You're forced to spend time, forced to learn each other.
At least in Clearwater, you can run a car and go to the beach.
Right.
You know, in Marbella, it's a little tougher.
Yeah.
Lehigh had the Crayola factory. They don't have that over in Spain. I know you took a deep dive in your Substack on the roster, and for a casual fan, or even not even just a casual fan, even a hardcore fan, is there any way to know how good or not good this roster is? I mean, I know we were talking about before the show a little bit. You really got to just trust what they're doing.
I hate using the phrase "trust the process," right? But that's kind of what I fall back on when it comes to the Union, because they have this system in place that Bradley Carnell, I won't say introduced, but refined. And I hate using the Red Bull comparison, but it's the Red Bull model is what it is. And now you have a lot of these new faces come in. We don't know. You know, the potential has been thrown out with Ezekiel Alado, this 20-year-old striker who's been on this club's radar for more than 12 months.
And looked great in the preseason.
Has looked great, but if you look at his professional experience, it's very limited. Now, I've seen him in person. He's a big dude. He is a unit. And you will fall in love with him if he scores the goals. But if it doesn't score the goals, what's the point of having a record fee striker up top? There's a lot of moving parts, especially up top. Bruno Damiani was so good last year, but he was so good doing all the grunt work. He didn't have to score all the goals because Bariba was doing it, Ua was doing it. Now he's got to be thrust into that role. Augustine Anello, who they just announced, played with Damiani briefly in 2024 in the Uruguayan League at Boston River. Has some connections with Nathan Harriel as well. He was born in the United States, had a really windy career path for somebody in his lower 20s, but he's somebody they think can make a difference. But we really don't know because, quite frankly, no one here watches the Uruguayan First Division. No one watches the Swedish division. No one actually knows what these guys will look like in game action. So you kind of have to trust what the Union have built out in their scouting model of guys that fit what they want in a striker. As a center back, Jeff at Sari Larson, their new signing is essentially going to be their new Jacob Glesnes. Comes from a Scandinavian league, very similar profile to when Glesnes first joined. But if you look back 5 years, pre-COVID, right when we started to learn this last phase of guys, Kai Wagner, Jose Martinez, Jacob Glesnes, we had no idea who these guys were, and they all became cult heroes and legends of the club. So on one hand, it's like, well, yes, you do have to trust that they know what they're doing, but also you blew up a Supporters Shield winning team, and you have a lot of new faces in key spots. Can it all come together? And that's kind of the big question mark. You want to be positive because they did a lot with a little last year, but they have to do a lot more with a lot little, at least in my eyes, on paper at least, to start the season.
Well, and to that vein, it all starts next week.
Right.
CONCACAF Champions Cup. It all starts. I mean, this was a really short off season. Yeah. Preseason's already over. We're already going to Trinidad. What's the first game look like, and what's this first game roster kind of shaping up to be?
Well, you're going to have to win. I mean, at any cost, you win these two legs against Defense Force FC from Trinidad and Tobago, and you move on. The rest of the bracket is incredibly difficult for the Union. You worry about that when you get to that point. But I think you'll see Alado up top. I think you'll see Anello. He got a lot of praise from Bradley Carnell in yesterday's press conference for even just being within the club for basically 2 days in Clearwater. And he's got some, I hate to say some chemistry because he played, a few games with Nathan Harriel with the U23s a long time ago and was on the same roster as Damiani, but didn't really play as much as Damiani did when they were together in Uruguay. The starting midfield's fine. You still have Milan Olaski, who was last year's midseason signing. He came on and played really well through the end of the season. He'll be partnered with Indiana Vasilov, Lukic and Danley at those defensive midfield positions. And you have the starters in the back line. Makanya, who, let's start pumping the World Cup hype train on him. The fact that South Africa hasn't included him on any roster yet, he's got to be at the World Cup with the way he played last year. And I don't think South Africa's center back depth pool is incredibly deep. It's just that their coach hates MLS. So
really,
yeah, he's been very outspoken.
Little
in the media.
Soccer politics.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. But he's got a lot to play for. Frankie Westfield, who, if Makanya doesn't have that breakout year last year, we're talking so much more about Westfield. It's not like he came out of nowhere, but the jump he made from the Union 2 is going to be fascinating. But it all comes down to who can score the goals early on, and that's really what's going to be fascinating about this team.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We want to get to Cavan Sullivan. We want to can they repeat another Supporter Shield and go further? We got Joe Tansey talking Philadelphia Union, and we'll talk World Cup coming up. Brotherly Love FC back after the break. Welcome back to Brotherly Love FC. The countdown is on to the start of the FIFA World Cup. We're 119 some days away. It is getting ready, is right around the corner. Well, this week, some of the best youth teams from around the world came to Philadelphia. Some of them will be playing in the World Cup someday. I had a chance to check it out in Chester.
it's a true test for them in terms of where they are today, and it gives them kind of an understanding of what it takes to be a top player.
Top youth soccer teams from Mexico, England, Germany, and all over the U.S. are in Chester this week for the inaugural Snow Bowl tournament at the home of the Philadelphia Union.
Offer our young players the opportunity to play against a multitude of different styles, of different peers, and to get exposure as to what some of the global standards are at their age.
The week-long tournament features under 15 through 18 age groups, including global powerhouses like Manchester United and Borussia Dortmund, along with Philadelphia Union Academy teams. These kids from Chicago Fire FC lost to a team from Mexico, but this week is more about learning.
It teaches me to show my talent around here and what I'm capable of for the club.
It's fun. You get to meet new people. Us personally, we're grateful enough to have Newcastle in our hotel, so we've been able to talk to them and get some new friends, I guess.
The event also showcasing the state-of-the-art indoor facilities at the Wisfis Bank Sportsplex to an international audience. It was put on by YSC Academy and The Swag, a no-cost youth soccer training program for African-American and immigrant kids in Philadelphia and Chester. For coaches like David Abador, the event was an opportunity for his kids to play against the best of the best.
It's nice for them to experience something different. Obviously, we're kind of stuck in the Midwest, and most of the opponents that we play are from the Midwest, so you get a lot of flavor. Obviously, we played a team from Mexico today, played a team from England yesterday, so it's a good experience for them.
It may not be the FIFA World Cup, but it's expected at least some of these players will be there someday.
Undoubtedly, I think if you look at some of the clubs in attendance, Dortmund, Benfica, Manchester United, right? Those are hotbeds for players to matriculate through their academy and onto the global stage, i.e. World Cup.
And it's a great tournament. You can actually go for free, open to the public. You could see it all. I think it's running until Saturday noon. The final start. You can go all day, and it's free. You can see some really good talent. Joe Tansey joining us continues here. Union and soccer reporter, Substack. How do we find you on Substack?
Search Union Soccer Blog, and then all the links are in social media as well at jtansey90. Links are pinned right at the top.
Awesome. Let's talk about, we just heard from the young players.
Right.
Many of them were playing with the Union Academy. Mm-hmm. Can you, first of all, describe what is the academy? We keep hearing about Union Soccer Academy, mm-hmm. which is known as one of the premier mm-hmm. academies in the United States in the MLS system. What is the academy? It's not just a training ground.
Right. So take a Brendan Aronson, for example. He was with the club, I think it was like 8-9 years old. And they start like that young, and obviously they have all these teams that play in these international tournaments. And it's not, and this is the first time I think they've had one like legit in Chester
right.
now with the new facilities. But they've gone around to all these youth tournaments and U15, U16, U17, you name it, and they're winning these tournaments or playing well at least and showcasing the talent. So the goal is to build that homegrown talent. It's not like in the NFL where high school to college. And then it's the luck of the draft. These are your guys, for lack of a better term. Some of them will go off before they even play in MLS, but you're developing and cultivating your own talent, and it's really cool to see how some of these guys have progressed, like in Aronson, Mark McKenzie, Austin Trusty, that are now. I mean, you watch them, you can see them play in the Champions League and in the Premier League. It's crazy to see just how quick that development can happen if you're that good. And
it's down in Chester. It is a huge, not only Subaru Park, there's the Wisfis Bank Sportsplex, mm-hmm. a lot of fields, and the academy. The academy is also a school, too.
Right,
I want to make sure these kids pretty much live there. I mean, not live, but they do. They go to school there, then they train there, and it's boys and girls.
Right, and it's incredible what they've built down there. I mean, I remember I first started on the beat in 2014, and the practice fields that they have now in Chester, those weren't even there. Those were parking lots, right? So to see them build up from where they are now, it really is incredible to see what they've done with that little patch of land and really made everything all in one down there.
And I think one thing that's interesting to point out is, despite their success, you still may only get 1 or 2 kids a year,
Right.
if that, who end up on the Union. But a lot of those kids who go through that program and are going to school there will end up signing on D1 soccer programs, or there's different avenues. It's not just like make or break, because it's still, the odds are still stacked against you.
Oh, they're incredibly small, and the funnel, when it goes up to, you may be the best U17 player, but there may not be a spot for you on Union 2 or with the first team, and that's just kind of the harsh reality of the business. As they get higher up in age, the funnel to the first team just gets so tight. And I mean, you're lucky if 1 or 2 really break through. I mean, last year it was Frankie Westfield that really made the jump as a homegrown product into the first team. But I mean, if you get one of those big success stories each year, you're doing a good job, which is crazy to say with the amount of youth prospects they've produced.
Let's talk about another one of those youth prospects, Cavan Sullivan.
Big year.
How old is he? 16, right?
16,
Still. He's seems to be one of the face of the team. Are we going to see some, first team minutes this year? I'm sure we will, but
Right.
how much?
So in a crazy way, and I hate saying this because the Sullivans have done so much within the Union, but Quinn Sullivan, his older brother, tearing his ACL late last season and now being out until after the World Cup break, is actually a blessing for Cavan's career, because that opens up one of those attacking midfield spots where you're not guessing, will he play, won't he play? You could make a case pretty strongly that he's number 3 on that depth chart, and if Milan Olaski's moving up to the forward position, which they want him to do, he's playing number 10 because that's where he's most comfortable right now, and it suits the team. You can make an argument first half of the season, Cavan Sullivan's a starter in the spot where his brother was starting last year. There's a lot of expectation on him, obviously, but now that we've reached the point where you only have 2 years left before Manchester City kicks in, and who knows what the possibilities are between now and then, but you have to start giving him the minutes. There was an increase last year, but you have to start giving him the increase, at least see what he can do. Sitting on the bench and having some of those minutes go to somebody else, it's kind of wasteful at this point.
So with him, and you said it's only 2 years, and because of the switch in schedule, next year is really a short season. So you really have one, and this season's even broken up because of the World Cup.
Right.
You have 1 full year left with him, and that you have control over him playing here.
You're basically having 3 half seasons.
Yeah.
If you really want to put it that way, with the way the World Cup break ends up splitting the MLS schedule. I mean, especially this first half of the season with Quinn being out, you're unsure of what the forwards look like, right? Now, best case scenario is all 3 forwards take off, and they're scoring a ton of goals like they were a few summers ago, and this team is really exciting to watch. But somebody has to play them the ball. Somebody has to be the playmaker, and out of the 3, Olaski, he's more of a forward. He'll make those plays, but I don't know if he's a natural, pure playmaker. Indiana Vasilev is a bulldog. That's the best way to describe him. He will do the work within the system, but he's not a significant chance creator. So who fits that role? Cavan Sullivan. He is that creator. We've seen all the highlights on Twitter of what he's done with Union 2. We've seen very brief glimpses with the Union. You have to take the training wheels off at some point, and I think the club is starting to realize that. Now, they don't want to rush him. Obviously, don't want to put too much pressure on him, but at some point, you got to let the training wheels off with him.
All right, we're going to take another quick break. Want to get into Bradley Carnell's second season. I want to touch on the World Cup also, see how excited you are as well as all of us.
Right.
All right, don't go away. More Brotherly Love FC coming back after the break. Welcome back to Brotherly Love FC. Chris O'Connell, Tom Loudon, and Joe Tansey here. Union blog reporter for Substack. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Good conversation. I know you talk Union, but I'd love to talk World Cup. Exciting stuff coming up in this summer, not only here in Philly, but for the soccer community. Let's go. Do we have that Team USA for their first game June 12th? First of all, let's talk Team USA. How do you like those first 3 games for them? How they going to get out of this round?
Oh, I mean, they absolutely have to.
They have to, but will they?
It's just a matter of who's going to score the goals. I mean, that's been the debate for how many years now? I mean, like, obviously Pulisic is going to step up. Tim Weah is fantastic, but who's the out and out striker? You know, that's been the big question, I think, for what, 3 or 4 years now. And it feels like every World Cup cycle we do this thing. Well, who's going to score the goals? Was it Josie Altidore a few years ago? Landon Donovan, Clint Dempsey? Who's going to take that role by the reins and really be that guy? That's kind of what I'm looking for in the build-up to the World Cup, because we know Pulisic, we know McKennie, we know Musa, we know Weah, like, we know the main characters, but who's going to be that X factor? Is it Patrick Adjemang, who played in MLS with Charlotte and now is letting the English second division on fire with Derby County? Like, it's going to be somebody. We just don't know who it's going to be, but I mean, regardless, that group, you got to get out of it.
So you mentioned earlier about some of the countries still have a little MLS bias. It seems like that's going away with the U.S. team, where the MLS guys are getting more of a chance to show, and especially during the run-up. Do you expect that to continue when the final roster is announced? And also the Aronsons, do you expect to see them making an impact, or at least
Brendan's on fire at Leeds right now. I mean, he's playing the form of his life. I mean, you saw him here, and he was playing incredible here before he got the move to Salzburg. Whatever has clicked right now at Leeds, it's looking really, really good. They're probably going to stay up, which is a huge accomplishment for them in the Premier League. And if you look at the way he's been playing week in and week out, I mean, the last, I guess, 6 weeks of his form has been absolutely incredible. Paxton, I'm not sure. We'll see what happens in the first half of the MLS season with Colorado. I know a lot of, like you said, the MLS bias. Well, he went overseas, didn't really work out for him, gets a big money move back to Colorado and MLS. So how does that affect his build-up to the World Cup? I don't know if he'll make it, but Brendan, I mean, you absolutely have to have him on the roster. And there's going to be so many Union connections. Mark McKenzie, Austin Trusty at center back, Brendan Aronson as well. So, yeah, you're looking for maybe an X factor. Yeah.
And Freeze, too.
Yeah, Freeze, absolutely.
World Cup coming to Philly. Could you, for the lay person, for the casual fan, what should they be looking for when the World Cup comes here?
Just enjoy it. It's the World Cup. It's not going to probably come back here in your lifetime. And I think that's something that you really have to appreciate. Look, they're not the best games, but Brazil's still coming. That game against Haiti, actually, it's going to have a Union influence. Stanley Jean-Jacques, the midfielder, is going to be on the Haiti national team. Look, I'm, as a soccer sicko myself, Ivory Coast has this player. His name's Yan Diomande, and Google him. He is one of the best stories right now in European soccer. He plays for Leipzig in the Bundesliga. Only a few years ago, he was playing in Florida. And he's just one of these undiscovered talents that all of a sudden is playing a huge role for the Ivory Coast. And it's one of those stories you'll hear throughout the World Cup where it's, oh, wow, like the journeys these guys take it's not just Mbappe. It's going to be great to see Mbappe, but you're going to see some really high-quality games, especially, look, that Ivory Coast Curacao, that's a great story. Ecuador, they're not Brazil, but they're one of the better South American countries. You look at, Moises Caicedo from Chelsea is one of their top players. So you're going to see a very high-caliber game in that it doesn't pop off the shelf, but I mean, there's still some pretty high-quality games in the group stage coming here.
And Croatia, a lot of people don't talk about them, but they always find themselves at the end, like, competing to get either the third place or right around there. And,
you see a Luka Modric and that generation coming to an end. That's going to be the culmination of decades of work for him and Perisic and that entire group of players that have gone far at World Cups before. So, yeah, that's going to be a really good game as well.
Now, as a journalist covering it, I'm sure you will be, how do you pick where to go, what to do, how to cover it? There's so many storylines, lots of...
48 teams now.
That's what I mean. And do you focus locally? Do you focus on the U.S.? How do you cover it as a journalist?
I like finding the kind of obscure stories. Look, everybody and their mom's going to tell you about Christian Pulisic and everything he's done in his life, and they already have, right?
Right.
So why not go off the beaten path and find something with Curacao? It's their first World Cup. The 48 team, look, I don't know if I'm a fan of it because it does dilute the talent pool and the results, but Curacao, Haiti, those are such cool stories here. Like, that's what gets you excited, to see the joy and passion in those teams. So I think that'll be really fascinating to cover as well.
All right, looking forward to it. Joe Tansey, Philadelphia Union sports writer for Substack. We appreciate you coming in.